Record and start. We're live to tape, y'all. And I don't believe in any record. I don't believe in any kind of editing or anything like that. This music, I just was kind of feeling this because I was looking at something to do earlier today, something to kind of put in the background. And I was looking for something that I wouldn't be stealing anybody's copyright or any kind of thing like that because yeah, it ain't cool or anything like that. So that's not what I'm going to do. So I found something that was open sourced and this brother got it going on. And I'm like, feeling it, man. He up in there playing the bass and everything. And I love to see mastery in action, nothing like that. And a lot of times you see that in artists. And what's interesting is like, it's not the best artists that become the best artists or the most well-known. It's the ones that are promoted the best. It's the ones that got the best game. A lot of independent artists out there, but I mean, I'm just feeling this guy today. And I'm not going to be able to respond on those other platforms because this is really like made to be a podcast. I just wanted to kind of raise the stakes a little bit higher by making it live. Put myself up to a higher level of excellence. So if you don't know me, my name is Joseph Price. Joey P is what my friends call me. Be a friend, gotta earn it. You can be an associate. But in any event, let's get started with that. So today, I want to talk about something that is kind of interesting, especially in the context of the work that we do, recovery work and helping people heal and helping people become better. There's something that I have seen and I just really haven't talked about to anybody, not even like people in the field or perhaps even people out there. But there's a relationship, let me just bring it right off the bat. There's a relationship between the people who get caught in sex stings and pornography users. And I'm going to say it again. There's a direct relationship to the people, the kind of people who get caught up in sex stings and porn. And so today, we're going to explore that concept because, I mean, first off, when you first heard that, it's like, you don't know what you're talking about is what you might be thinking. And that comes up a lot. And I'm kind of used to that, like for after 20 years. Now, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about is a kind of like a buzzword that maybe I do know what I'm talking about. But see, I'm going to use a little bit of data to support what I'm talking about today. And I'm going to use something that you can actually do some research on. And I'm going to try to make this like radio-like, as well as it being, educational and informative, and as well as pointing out and tying in the relationship between porn and these sex stings, people that get caught up in these sex stings. And please excuse me for getting distracted every now and then. I got ADD. You'll find that, unfortunately, many people that have used porn, they have ADD. Unfortunately, it's one of the things that some people get it from the porn use and some people had it inherently and then they gravitate to the porn. So just forgive me for that factor. I'm going to deliver some serious product to you. So let me just set this up from the start and let's talk about what it is that I wanted to talk about. So if you don't know me, I've always had an interest in law enforcement. You do know that I do have a long background in law and life coaching and, human potential and behavior modification and why people do stuff and all that kind of thing. But law enforcement has always been something that interests me, especially not just everyday police work, but all kinds of police work and everyday police work as well, because sometimes right on everyday police work, they just get some of the biggest busts, bigger than anything they get out of an investigation. But sexting is, and a specific program called To Catch a Predator has always kind of intrigued me. Like, why do people do what they do to get caught up in a sex thing? So it's always intrigued me. So I'm going to tell you what I can tell you from actually looking at a few To Catch a Predators and then blending that into what I know about porn recovery and porn addicts. I'm going to try to show you the relationship and also show you some of the things that happen. So when we talk about sex things, first of all, there's a couple ways that they actually occur. Now, one way is where the police, a detective, communicates online in like a chat room. They pose as a 13-year-old, and then some adult engages in conversation, and then it just progresses to a meetup, and somewhere in between, the point of the meetup is for them to have sex. All right. And it's been established that somewhere in between in the conversation, sex. Matter of fact, it's usually established beyond just being established. It's usually established specifically and graphically also. So that's the gist of what they are. The particular program that I'm talking about and what I just explained, that happens every day across America. And people that are sex offenders, they know about that. It happens every day across America. One of the programs that was on TV was Dateline NBC. They did a program called To Catch a Predator. And that was a program that actually brought this, phenomena or concept into the public eye. And so the gist of To Catch a Predator, which really is like the foundation of what I'm going to talk about, sex sting itself is actually a concept. But To Catch a Predator, the gist of the show is that the NBC rents a house. Chris Hansen's the host. They have a bunch of security there. They have a state's attorney there. They have some police there, usually about 12 or 15. They have the house wired, 30 cameras deep. They have like about 5 people that communicate with kids, drumming up the business, so to speak, drumming up people that they can lure to this house. Outside of the house is wired with cameras. They've got a camera down the street. I guess, they come into a nice neighborhood and say, hey, can we have your house for a couple of days? Here's $25,000. I mean, this is the press. They can do that. And then, would you loan your house out for 3 days for $25,000? And they probably can send you on a vacation too while you're gone. So, most people would be attracted to whatever kind of offer that they make. And so they have pretty much reign over the whole house. And meanwhile, they're setting up appointments with these guys that are going to come and meet some 13-year-old. And that's the gist of the show. And the guys come, and then the guys think that there's going to be a 13-year-old girl there. And there's some girl that's acting like a 13-year-old, but she's actually a 19-year-old. And then she lures the guy in the house and talks to the guy, very briefly. Usually they ask the guy to bring something. Perhaps it may be some McDonald's food. Perhaps it may be condoms. Perhaps it may be some cupcakes. Perhaps it may be some Skittles, some specific thing, because that ties, law enforcement is actually tying something into the conversation that was in the conversation into what the guy brought, which reinforces the intention of the person who came there. So these guys come to the house. Some guys bring Twinkies, some guys bring wine, some guys bring vodka, some guys bring weed, some guys bring this, some guys bring that, some guys bring their sisters, some guys bring their mothers. And I'm just trying to make funny of it. It's pretty serious what they do. Some of these guys have actually, their mothers have dropped them off of these places. Some of these guys, one guy brought his kid to this place. This is how sick that this behavior becomes. Okay, so they come here with the intention of getting sex, like that, with a 13-year-old. Now, some of these guys, like, you know, drive long distances as well. They go like 2 hours to drive. You know, I thought that was a long time. And, you know, I knew I was going to do this today. So I took some time yesterday and I watched a couple of those episodes. I wasted some of my time because, quite frankly, I would hope that you don't even look at them. I'd hope that you just take my word for it. Maybe just look at one. But as I was looking yesterday, you know, and in my notes, I had 2 hours. But then lo and behold, here we go. It's a guy who used to be a cop who comes down somewhere in Indiana to somewhere in Kentucky. And it's basically a 5-hour ride to have sex with a 13-year-old. Okay. So that's the gist of the program. So, you know, backing it up. And again, I got ADD, so forgive me. My story's kind of in places and fragmented, but, you know, it's all going to come together and make sense when we're done. So going back, these guys know that they're wrong, but yet they communicate anyway. And so the part that intrigued me was like a long time ago, because I first looked at this like, I don't know, about 10 years ago, way before I even got into recovery business, 3 years ago, helping people recover. And it intrigued me then because, first of all, I thought, oh, law enforcement's just like, you know, entrapping these guys. Like, oh, you know, the police are just doing this and the police are doing that. Oh, I know oh man, them cops is good, boy. No, I'm doing all that. Oh man, them cops. Oh, they think you talking about homicide cops is the bar. Oh no, them cops is the real deal. So that's what I'm thinking. So, you know, it's the 21st century and everything. You can go on the web. So there's a site called Perverted Justice, and that actually has the chat logs of these people. So what I do is I go and I watch these. I watch one, and I get the screen name. Excuse me. And then I look it up. And then I look up at the chat line, the chat log. So I stop on the chat log. I look at the entire thing, you know, the entire segment. And then I go to the chat log, look at every lie that he told. And then I go back and look at it again and look at the lies he told. And I go like, wow. Okay. So that's what I did, you know, like in my research to really grasp, because I just really, you know, I don't get it. And I'm not supposed to get it because I'm not me. I'm not them. You know, one of the things that, like, if you're not an addict, people often say, oh, I don't understand that. And I often say, well, that's good news that you don't understand it, because the fact that you don't understand it means it's not you. Because in order for you to understand certain things like addiction and how people do those things and this and that kind of thing, in order for you really to understand it, maybe you might have to be it. Now, through a little bit of research, you might understand of it, but really to understand certain things, you really have to be it. And when you say that you don't understand it, that's actually good news, because that means that you're not it. So back to what I was thinking was, all these cops, they're luring these people, they're tricking these people and everything like that. So I looked at these transcripts, and it's like, the first thing that happens is, like, it's not like the cops even go after the kid. First of all, these adults go after the kid, which is the cop. The adult goes after the kid. The adult makes the first contact every single time. The adult makes the first contact every single time. And the first contact, the first thing that comes out the kid's mouth every single time is what their age is. And the first question that comes out of the kid's mouth is, what is the age of the adult? And then somehow kind of way, they figure out a way to make the adult say his age again. And then the kid repeats his age again. And that almost happens right at the beginning of the conversation. Okay. So then the conversation, and it's almost like a template. It's not, it varies a little bit. But after they do that, after they open the conversation, then all of a sudden, like, it transforms to sex, and there's a timestamp next to each letter that's text. So you can see, like, in about 4 or 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that, they're already talking about sex. They're already talking about what they want to do. They're already asking, like, 40-year-old person asking a 13-year-old, are you a virgin? 48-year-old asking a 15-year-old, do you shave? 54-year-old asking a 13-year-old this, 21-year-old asking a 14-year-old this. And I'd be like, wow. And it's not like there's any kind of limit to this. And really, again, this ties into sex addiction, because these people are sex addicts 101, and there's a relationship between porn. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I'm going there, trust me. So that's, these guys know that they're wrong. So anyway, the conversation very quickly transforms itself into a sexually charged conversation. All right. When I talk about recovery, one of the things I always talk about is the pornified mind, or the porn mindset. So there's certain things that come out of the pornified mind and the pornified mindset. And one of those is going to be like doing things inappropriate, saying things that are inappropriate, and saying inappropriate things to inappropriate people. Okay. And like kids. So, talking all outside, really basically severely talking out of your ass in an egregious manner. That's I guess that sums it up as best as I possibly can sum it. So that kind of banter goes on. And then another thing that goes on is they always want to send a picture of their genitalia. So sending a picture of a genitalia, where I come from, I think they call that pornography. And then when on the other side, they always want the kid to send a picture of their genitalia. Well, again, where I come from, they call that pornography. And by the way, this sexting, that's pornography, and that's part of a porn mind. And if you are doing that, you're engaging in pornography, And if you think that, it's okay for me not to do porn as long as I'm just, sexting with my wife, well, your brain doesn't make the distinction between, oh, that's sexting and my wife and pornography. It's all stimulation by pixels that's working against you if you've seen too much, to the extent that you have a problem. And that's what we're talking about, is people, all of them, that have a problem, and how those problems have manifested themselves into legal problems for these people. Okay. So that's what they do. I'm going to put a pause on it just for a second, and I'm going to come right back